Hi, I'm Dill Green, veteran of various community and mutual credit initiatives. I work with mutual credit services on co-design and implementation of local economy networks in the UK and internationally too. We do detailed contextual design work, paying close attention to the realities of each context. But everything we do is on the basis of wide discussion and careful thinking about the deep purpose of economics and money, what the point of them is in terms of people, communities, and the quality of life. And that's the subject of this presentation. What is money for, and how can it work for the common good? Markets and supply chains get a bad rap, deservedly so. It is their manifestation through neoliberal globalization, which is burning the biosphere to build piles and piles of abstract money units. But before we throw the baby out with the bathwater, we should note that thriving quality of life is about engagement with an increasing variety of experiences and contexts. In short, about diversity, being enriched by and in turn enriching our individual and shared experience of differences. If we accept this, then we need to see that it is the long-range coordination mechanisms that we call civilization which make this possible, and that supply chains are one of those long-range coordinations. Until relatively recently, in a historical sense, diversity was the condition that existed between contexts, not within them. Most places were strongly homogeneous in almost all respects, with even small differences suppressed. In groups, within which we have trust, sharing, unconditional care, primitive communism even, are at some level intolerant of diversity. They have to be, or their inness would be weakened. The Manchester United Supporters Club would lose its meaning if it had fans of 10 other teams. People from Harare needs to mean people from Harare, or it means nothing. Civilization, as I define it, is what has allowed it to be possible for us to build and belong to several in-groups at the same time, to become who we can be more fully, to become diverse. Civilization has achieved this through providing means of coordination between, across, and among out-groups. And the outcome of this is to enable the birthing of many new kinds of in-group contexts. In-groups which accept parts of us, but do not expect to fully own or define us. Notice that these in and out group conditions are recursive, nested and overlapping. It's not a 2D map, but a multidimensional reality. The means of coordination which civilization both provides and is built by are themselves diverse, but two are foundational in what tech types might call a stack. The first is communications technology, of which language is the root, developing into printing, telecoms, broadcasting, and of course, the internet. Communications technologies enable exchange of raw materials, goods, ideas, and services. Once customs of communication and exchange have been established, a new level of coordination becomes possible, the one which most powerfully builds novel in-group conditions through material interdependence, economics. Economics in its proper sense, that is, social coordination around desire in the context of constraints arising from ethics, capacity, and resources. This is the proper purpose of economics then, to give rise, through collaboration, to new kinds of in-group, to build civilization, to enable diversification. We've come a long way before getting to money, but here it comes, in its proper place, as a servant, as a tool for the furtherance of human expression. Money gets a really bad rap too, and so it should, if we accept that the money we suffer is the only possible kind, which of course is what the textbooks say, but we know that's nonsense. We could talk all year about money and still not be finished, but there is something I think I can confidently say, which is that the value of money is not in money, but in the extent to which it enhances coordination between outgroups, which ability depends directly upon a much criticized aspect of money, its abstraction. Because it is precisely a degree of abstraction which is required to allow outgroups to concentrate on the mutual value of an exchange without getting distracted by their differences as to what football team they support, what language they speak, what day of the week they consider a rest day. This allows them to build novel in-groups focused on their shared value within which their differences are abstracted away. For me, these money-like mechanics are positives in their right place, which is rather specific and limited, but extraordinarily important. If we're going to use money then, we need to be sure it won't do again what it has done in the last few centuries, which is, crudely, to build a special in-group of money managers whose interests and reward functions have become dangerously abstracted from human value, from life itself. We must be consciously in charge of the workings of money, so as to be sure it is always doing its human job, fostering new in-group conditions in the context of coordinations across out-group boundaries. Money that we control is called by economists inside money. It is contrasted with outside money, where decisions are made by others, even if those decisions are claimed to be in our best interests. Outside money, since it is created elsewhere, is always effectively an extractive instrument. To get it, you've promised to export something from your in-group to somewhere else. Community money projects, and any in-group is a community of sorts, can build inside monies, but struggle mightily with the reality that the prevailing outside money, crudely the dollar, has pushed itself deeply into every aspect of society, and at the same time, as Marx presciently saw that it would, it has become the uber commodity, the one which can be exchanged for all others. It has made itself into an unavoidable necessity. The boundary between the inside and outside of a community money project is always fraught. Too closed, and members complain that inside spending power is of little use for things that they need. Too open, and the inside money becomes impossible to distinguish from an inferior form of the outside money. How then can we build a solid inside money? The only answer, the only way to build a local money which can stand its ground, is for it to be strongly related to local productive capacity, to the actual human value developed in the locality that the money serves. This is the problem with 99% of crypto. Tokens, whose inventors hope will acquire money-like characteristics, are issued without strong reference to any actual value-creating capacity. By contrast, instruments issued locally by value producers themselves in amounts related to measures of their real capacity will always have real value and will be locally cheaper, more effective, than outside money, which is always extractive in nature. This is great, but we've now built ourselves into a serious trap, one that we cannot easily transcend. The diversity which makes us value civilization, that flourishing which is possible only if people are free to choose and build their own in-groups, that diversity comes hand in hand with longer supply chains, with the ability to exchange between outgroups. Of course, in the current crisis, relocalization is urgently required, particularly as regards fundamentals, food, energy, basic manufacturing capacities and the like. But if we take this too far, if we do throw the baby out with the bathwater, in appropriate revulsion at the devastation of the biosphere, if we push for local self-sufficiency in all things, we will find ourselves suppressing differences, limiting expression, shrinking civilization. We also need to recognize that change must start from where we are, with more than 50% of humanity living in cities utterly dependent on supply chains for their subsistence. If you're in a developed economy context, Perhaps you might think about your home environment and then try to think of anything there which was entirely produced within a day's walk. I do hope you can think of something, several things, but at the same time I will guess that they form a very small part of your typical day. If, on the other hand, you're in a more self-sufficient context, perhaps you might think about those things you use or lack which are dependent upon long supply chains and what it costs you to access those things. So, where are we right now with money as it is? Mostly we have outside money of a particularly deathly kind, mediating all non-local exchange and an increasing fraction of local exchange too. We can, with effort, build local inside monies, which, to be sound, must be strongly conditioned by local productive capacity, much of which will be services or last-mile additions at the end of long supply chains, meaning that our inside monies must carefully police their interactions with the outside world or be hollowed out. What can we hope to achieve in this context? It looks as if the most we can hope for is a weak, highly localized inside money continually being undermined by extractive outside money. There is, though, a way out, a way around, which is to reject parochialism, reject as a nonsense the idea that we can build little bubbles of self-sufficiency without destroying everything we value. The way around is through federation. Federation allows local inside money spaces to join together to create wider, more diffuse in-groups, which again build their own inside money, and for those groups in turn to join together to connect more widely, building more inside monies. This federation mechanism must be bottom-up and multi-tier, each group retaining its autonomy, its sovereignty, its inside character, and each remaining at a scale where lifelike governance is possible, human governance. In this way, in-groups can voluntarily collaborate with other groups to build the common good, without becoming subordinate to outside money control and decision-making, remaining in full control of whatever processes and culture make sense in their own context, while participating in the building of their wider contexts. This mechanism is what the Credit Commons Protocol seeks to enable. We hope you will want to find out more.